for companies that are well-meaning, and so many of the companies we work with, the BCBAs are like, I want to do what's best for my clients and my staff, and obviously there is a line there where I can't always satisfy either or, right? There has to be a happy medium. But are there any strategies they can put in place? Maybe they have done some outreach to try and get feedback from their PTs and BCBAs, but they're still not getting the they're still not hearing the voices of their staff. Is there something that they can implement? Do you think that maybe they'll get better results, or that feedback they're looking for?
I think so. I think that one, which I think you kind of mentioned this in when you were looking at the TikToks and stuff, but people are scared of retaliation, whether the company says they're not going to or not. And I've worked at a company before where I was the one in charge of sending out the anonymous surveys, knowing full well that they had access to see who it was or something like that. So trying to really put things in place where that's not the case. If you are telling someone, hey, we want your honest feedback, you want them to believe that that's what you actually want out of that situation, not that there's going to be anything associated with it, regardless of who says it, even if it's not anonymous, that if you need the feedback. And the companies need to get better at one, taking that and not immediately getting defensive and just dismissing the rest of it, but really looking at the feedback because there's always common themes. And so, even if you only take the biggest theme away from what everyone's saying, that's going to go a long way in making a difference. If you've got 20 texts with the same exact complaint, that could really mess up your company because it's going to be top down. So, I feel like getting better at actually taking the feedback, and then everyone else just getting better at giving the feedback, even if there is, I know people can't just lose their job and things like that, everyone needs their paycheck, so there's some of that to it, but I don't know any company that doesn't need RBTs and BCBAs every day.
100%.
So there's
Yeah.
always going to be another job. If you need to speak up and there's retaliation, that's a much bigger issue, and it's probably best that you do speak up and just let whatever's going to happen happen.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, there is such a need for BCBAs and techs, and while like obviously like it can be terrible to lose their job and they need that income, that it would be best for everyone if people could say, okay, this is the line, it's not working, I'm gonna find a place where I don't have to cross that line, and get that mentorship. Where is my line really the right line, or am I being a little bit like, am I drawing my line too quickly?
Right.
And maybe I was listening too much to Facebook, and this really, like you said, isn't unethical. It's like there is a nuance here, and even when you say, "Oh, that's unethical," well, hold on a second. Really, like, can there be things put in place to mitigate any risk of something bad happening, right? And so that we have those checks and balances in place to support that. And the other thing I'll say is, like, especially with smaller companies, putting out those anonymous anonymous service, like, okay, I'm gonna have one for the techs, and I have five techs,
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna
exactly.
put one out for the BCBAs, and I have one BCBA. This is an anonymous
Right.
people, right? Like, and they're gonna know that, right? They're gonna be, obviously, you're asking me BCBA specific questions, and I'm the only BCBA. I can't answer this, right? If you're in that company where you're having to post anonymous satisfaction surveys anyway, right? So I don't know. That can be very difficult. So I don't know if you have any feedback for that, or any ways to get that open environment. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the better way to do that would be to already have that rapport with your staff and that
Yeah.
open communication, open door policy, so that you're not having to send them a survey to fill out. They know they can come in and say, hey, I've got some questions. I need to know what's going on here. And you're going to walk away from that conversation either in a better place and understanding what's going on, or at least able to make the decision you need to make in your career.
All right.
It's a lot more of just not beating around the bush. It's the same as like sending out an email to, all your employees to address something that happened with one person instead of
Yeah.
being direct. It's
Yeah.
like they're not going to get the message, right? They're going to be like, oh, this isn't about
No.
me. And
Right.
it's kind of the same thing. You need to be able to talk to your people and give them at least the satisfaction of sitting down and listening to what they have to say, even if
Right.
you can't give them what they want.